Hi and welcome to this NSPCC Learning webinar, recorded in celebration of Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week. My name is Helen Westerman and I'm the head of our local campaigns tier here at the NSPCC. In this webinar, we'll hear from colleagues across the NSPCC about the work they're doing to support mums and dads during the perinatal period, how we're adapting our services so we can continue to support mums and dads during lockdown and beyond, and why we're calling on government to ensure parents can access the support they need if they're struggling with their mental health, not just during this uncertain period. In this webinar, you'll hear from Tori Joel, who works in our scale-up unit, training external organisations to deliver our services and supporting them to embed them in their local area. Louise Harrington works on developing services for children and families, with a particular focus on the early years. Sally Taylor is a practitioner in our service centre in York who works directly with children and families and delivers Pregnancy in Mind, our preventative mental health programme for expectant mums. And Steve Nutt and Sarah Whitcomb-Hayes, who are helping to lead our policy influencing campaign, Fight for a Fair Start. I'll hand over to Tori now, who will tell us about the work the NSPCC does to support parents during this perinatal period.
Thank you, Helen. So I thought that it'd be really useful today to talk a little bit about what the perinatal period is and what perinatal mental health is, as some of you might be quite surprised that NSPCC does work in this sphere. So the perinatal period is from conception to 1 year after birth. And mental health, as you know, we all have mental health, but many people talk about that in reference to having issues or problems when they feel that their mental well-being is not as good as it could be. Perinatal mental health or problems are issues regarding mental well-being which occur during pregnancy or in that first year following the birth of their child. And what we know is that perinatal mental illness can affect up to 20% of new and expectant mums, and it covers such a wide range of different conditions. So it's not just depression and anxiety, but a whole range of different mental health problems. And we also know that dads can experience mental health issues in this period as well. And it's thought that maybe around 1 in 10 dads experience this, but it's probably higher due to underreporting, because much like mums, dads feel stigmatisation. So why does perinatal mental health matter? If 1 in 5 women in the UK experience perinatal mental health issues in the first year of a child's life, to us that's a really significant number of women that are not feeling at their best, that are struggling. And they're scared of them, what will happen to them, they're scared of how it might impact the babies, and they often don't tell people to get the support because they're so scared of what might happen. And if they do, they often don't let us know what the full extent of their issues are. So that's having a really negative impact on their well-being, their experience of being a mom. It impacts on other relationships, and we know that it can impact on the well-being of their baby. So we know that perinatal mental health difficulties are very common. And like I said, it has implications for a much wider circle than just themselves. So if we were to think about how does that impact on families, maternal mental health problems in that period can lead to babies being exposed to potentially damaging levels of stress hormones, which you might have heard as cortisol, not only when they're in utero, but also when they're born. But what you do need to remember when we talk about that stress, that it has to be severe and chronic and ongoing. So it's not just a small period, but any significant lengths where you're feeling quite stressed or under depression, you've got significant mental health issues, that's where it could start to have an impact on baby's brain. What we do know as well, though, there's a fantastic professor called Vivek Glover, and she talks about explaining to mums to try not to worry about worrying, because that actually doesn't help. And that can feel quite hard not to do, but it's something just to bear in mind. We also know that mental health, if it's left untreated, not only can it escalate in the antenatal period, but postnatal, so once your baby's born, that can the risk can increase, and it increases your likelihood of having things such as postnatal depression. We know that if you've got depression or anxiety, it can make it harder for you as a parent to provide that warm and responsive care that babies really need to start to be able to attach and bond with you. And we know that there's lots of research around Like I said before, the levels of perinatal anxiety and depression and how many go undetected. But not only do they go undetected, that then means that they don't go on to have evidence-based forms of treatment, which is what parents in this period really need. And as I've said before, lots of parents will underplay or hide the severity of their mental illness because they're scared of what might happen, because there's still quite a lot of stigma surrounding mental health. So if we were to think about what this might mean for children, we know that babies are born socially interactive, and that means that they're ready to engage and communicate. But if we were to think about a mum, for example, who might have mental health issues such as depression, they can often find it really hard to communicate with the babies because they have to use subtle communication skills. So it's that gaze, it's that sing-song in the voice. And if you're feeling really depressed and low or anxious, you're going to be much less likely to be able to do that as well as what you would hope. But we also know that they are the things that are helping our baby's brain grow and start to feel connected to the main carers. So that's really important that they get that from somebody. So that's just one of the ways that mental health can impact on a baby's ongoing development. There's lots of other ways, but given we're short for time today, it'd be too much to go into all of them. But we know that it can impact on parents' bond and a baby's attachment to the caregiver, and we know that that can have long-lasting implications into adulthood. So you might be wondering, why is that important for the NSPCC? So if we believe that every child deserves the best start in life and to live a happy and healthy life where they're able to meet their potential, that would also then follow on that we would want to be able to provide services and help make sure that children can receive that. And as we know that parents play a huge part in this, they also deserve to feel happy in all aspects of their life, not just relationships, work, but in their parenting. And what we know is by providing evidence-based services and information around perinatal mental health, that families will be able to seek help and have better parent-infant interactions and relationships, and that's what will help children grow into happy and healthy, not only children but later on adults.
Thanks, Tori. Over to Louise and Sally now. Can you tell us about Pregnancy in Mind, the preventative mental health service for new mums, and how you're adapting it during the current circumstances so we can continue to support expectant mums?
Thanks, Helen. So Pregnancy in Mind is an evidence-based service developed by the NSPCC to support pregnant women and their partners or parents to be who are either already experiencing mild or moderate anxiety or depression, or are at risk of experiencing it during the perinatal period. And the service is run for parents during the second trimester of pregnancy. The aim of Pregnancy in Mind is to build parents' knowledge about perinatal mental health difficulties, their skills to be able to manage any difficulties they might be experiencing during that period of their life, and to help them to strengthen the relationships around them with their partners or significant people in their lives to support them, as well as providing a peer support relationship opportunity. And that peer support relationship opportunity comes via the group. The service being delivered as a closed and traditionally face-to-face group, which runs over 8 weeks and lasts for 2 hours per week. So there's an hour and a half of input of formal sort of group, although it is quite informal, and then a half an hour informal time for parents to get to know each other within a relaxed environment. The service is based on a number of core themes which come out of a systematic review of the evidence around providing support to parents during the perinatal period who are experiencing mild or moderate anxiety and depression. And those core themes are mindfulness meditation and active relaxation, psychoeducation and coping skills, so supporting parents to understand perinatal mental health issues, to recognise any triggers, particularly their own personal triggers, and support them in having skills and ways of coping and managing if they experience these difficulties during the perinatal period. It is based also around increasing awareness of the developing baby and in turn supporting that relationship, developing relationship between parent and baby. And it also supports the strengthening of the couple relationship or the co-parenting relationship if the parents are not together as a couple. It follows a set weekly structure, which participants tell us really helps them to feel relaxed, to understand that they know what's coming next, and this is the structure for the group week on week. But there's flexibility to adapt the materials within that structure to the needs of that particular group. And the service is co-facilitated by NSPCC practitioners. During COVID-19, we've adapted the Pregnancy in Mind service to offer a virtual service to parents instead. There are, in the face-to-face service of PIM, there are 6 delivery teams in Jersey, Leeds Bradford, Swindon, South Wales, Tidworth and York, and that remains the same within the delivery of the virtual offer. The core offer, which can be built upon and developed further depending on local need, is based around 4 weekly sessions based on the PIN set structure that we talked about and focused on the core elements of that service. There is an assessment of need, which is traditionally carried out face-to-face. In the virtual service, it's carried out by phone. And learning materials for the sessions are sent by email in advance of the session so that the participants have them ready to take part. There's a review of the service after 4 weeks. And it's delivered either via one-to-one or group-based support via telephone or video conferencing software. There's, in addition, a weekly wellbeing check-in for parents to be with practitioners to see how they're doing and to check how they're feeling during that week.
Thank you, Louise. So I'm a practitioner and we are continuing to work with women during this very difficult time. Some of the themes that are arising during this time for women are feelings of great loss around the pregnancy and the labour that they'd hoped and imagined that they would have had. So they've been really restricted in how they've been able to prepare for the baby, not being able to go shopping, for example. They're really feeling the lack of support from family and even from other people, just having no one to ask how you are or to notice that your bump is growing. Mums are not able to have a baby shower or have a leaving do at work, and they're not building those very vital friendships with other pregnant mums, which will help them as they go forward. They're very anxious and fearful about what will happen when they need to go to hospital, where hospital used to be a reassuring place, often for mums who had got more complex pregnancies. They're now feeling very anxious about going there. In our area, only one person will be allowed to be with the woman during their active labour. And for 1 hour afterwards, women are not able to have a water birth, and they're anxious about how they will cope alone and how they will cope with pain. Women are also worried about how will they manage when they bring the baby home. They're going to be alone with their partner or perhaps on their own. How will they manage without support from the family and community and friends? How will they manage crying? They're concerned about the fact that their family is not going to be introduced to their baby to perhaps some time, and that they're not going to be able to go to groups. Women are feeling trapped. Like many people, they're not able to go out and they're not seeing friends. They're seeing the same 4 walls and they're doing the same walking route each day. We're finding that the COVID-19 situation is also means that many women are feeling a lack of safety, and this can trigger previous traumas. Where women are in more busy households where they've got other children, they're perhaps feeling very overwhelmed. They're finding they've got no space for themselves and the baby. They're managing financial worries. They might have a partner at home, and this may exacerbate any relationship issues. They're entertaining and educating other children, and generally meeting the emotional needs of all the others in the family, and really finding it very difficult to focus on themselves and on the baby. During our one-to-one sessions with the women, we've been maintaining the structure of the Pregnancy in Mind group and making sure that there are elements of mindfulness and relaxation and visualizations that women can do within those sessions that they can practice with us and they can carry on doing during the week. We've been really trying to encourage them to be very creative in how they're managing their anxiety. So thinking about when they are going into hospital and all the anxieties around that, encouraging them to think about how they might be able to take the people that they love with them virtually there. So making boards of photographs or asking people to record music, perhaps having things like one woman's talked about having a sweatshirt with the smell of her husband on it, getting people to write letters. We're focusing on things that would comfort and soothe them when they're going through labour. As they come home with the baby, we're really trying to encourage them to explore strengths that they already have from other situations, to think about support which might be available to them, and to use this time to do some research, but really bringing all the things that they already know and can apply when they bring the baby home. We're helping them to look at the advantages of the lockdown, that it's time, giving them time to rest, giving them time to perhaps prepare in a way that they might not have been able to had they still been working. Where women are feeling trapped, we're encouraging them to think about how they could change their environment in some way. Could they move some pictures around? Could they do other things which will make a difference? Can they vary their walking route? We're using some of the Pregnancy in Mind techniques to help them to visualize other places, safe places, places where they might enjoy going in their minds to give them some time away. We're also helping them to put how they might manage difficult feelings and how those might be contained for them until it's safe to have a look at them at some time in the future. Where there's a busy household, we're using all those techniques that come through the Pregnancy in Mind, perhaps helping women to take 3 breaths when they're making a cup of tea, doing a body scan, checking in with the baby. We're encouraging women to use the grounding techniques when they're feeling really anxious. We're encouraging them to do pleasant things for themselves and for the baby, things which are soothing and calming, getting out the best things that they put away for guests. So using those best guest towels and using those best sheets, getting out your favourite mug. We're helping them to think about how they might manage relationships within the household, how they could use some of the problem-solving techniques that we use within Pregnancy in Mind to help organise the household better and to help others like teenagers who are really struggling with the issues that they're facing at the moment. We're really bearing in mind the needs of other children in the household as well. And just helping women to focus on what they can control and using, again, techniques which we use in Pregnancy in Mind to help women to think about which thoughts are helpful and which thoughts are unhelpful at the moment. Women are telling us that these sessions are really being helpful in helping them to control their worry and their anxiety.
Thanks, Louise and Sally. Back to Tori, you support teams outside the NSPCC training them to deliver baby steps for parents in their area. Baby Steps is a perinatal education programme for mums and dads and other carers, delivered through group sessions and some home visits, isn't it? So can you tell us about how you're working with our external partners to adapt the service and deliver it virtually where possible, given group sessions can no longer go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start just by explaining a little bit more from your intro what Baby Steps is. So it's, as you said, it's a perinatal education programme, so that's something quite unusual. So there's education in the antenatal period, but also some for the postnatal period after baby's born. So they usually start around the 7 months of pregnancy, and it's, you know, some areas run it universally, so any mums and dads can come, and some areas run it in a targeted way, so it's the parents that need that, just that little extra bit of support for varying different reasons. They might be new to area, they might have English as an additional language. There's lots of different reasons why people might be referred to Baby Steps, and it's run in different ways in different areas, but everybody needs antenatal education. So the aim of the groups is to help people become more prepared for becoming parents, but not just the birth itself. So we call that the transition to parenthood. And even if you've had babies before and you've got, you know, several little ones running around, each time we have a baby, we have that transition to parenthood again, because it's a new baby and it's a new person joining the family, and it changes the dynamics. So the group, it's usually a group that runs face to face, but it starts by having a home visit, so that families can get to see their workers that's going to be supporting the group. And then there would be 6 antenatal sessions, followed by another home visit usually. And that's where parents would show their facilitators their new baby, and they would get to meet them and hear all about the birth. And then there's 3 more group sessions once all the babies have been born, so that the parents can come together, share their experiences, and then get some of that peer support and think about what they might want to do once a group's finished. So there's some core themes in there around baby development, changes for mum and dad or partner if they've got one, or other people in their family unit, health and well-being. There's the traditional giving birth information, how to care for baby, so doing some of that bathing and nappy changing, sleeping routines, feeding, lots of things around who's there for us, including people in the wider circle, and then services. Like PIM, it's a closed group, so once a group's been decided who's coming and they've agreed to start attending, we don't just have people dipping in and out, because we find that's really disruptive for the group, and building those trusting relationships so that you can share some of those trials and tribulations that often come along with being pregnant. And although it is structured, there's definitely flexibility to adapt the materials for the group so that everybody's getting what they need from there. And it's run by 2 baby steps practitioners. Generally they come from different backgrounds, so there's someone from a health background and then someone from a like a family engagement type background, so you're getting all that holistic knowledge and support that you will need while you're pregnant. But as you can imagine, during this COVID period, we've had to change quite quickly, adapt the programme and the service so that the parents can still get all that really important perinatal information. So what we've done so far, very quickly the teams sent out kind of packages to parents, either printed or electronically, so they got handouts, access to online resources that they knew were good quality. But from our end, what we've done is we've supported the sites to film key messages, and some internal staff that have delivered baby steps have done that as well, so that there's information from each of the sessions, and that's going to be uploaded onto a private YouTube channel, which means that that's only accessible by baby steps participants. There will also, each parent can expect a call each week to discuss the content that they've seen, to make sure that they've understood it, see if they've got any questions and have those answered. And if it has brought up any issues for them, we know that there's a professional going to be speaking to them that's able to support them and help them feel grounded again. The list of key websites and resources and sources of support and families are still being shared. And then some sites are doing live baby steps group over virtual conferencing apps, but most are doing it on a one-to-one, with the view that once the COVID restrictions are being lifted, if it seems appropriate, they might bring the groups together at that point so that they can have some of that peer sharing. And then other sites, they've also asked if parents are happy to have their telephone numbers shared so that they can get a sense of that peer group. Usually groups that want to like face-to-face, they share the numbers and do WhatsApp groups, so it's to enable that. But then the professionals aren't part of that group. So yeah, that's where we're at with baby steps adaptations currently.
Oh, thanks, Tori, and thank you to Louise and Sally too. It's really brilliant to hear about the speed at which teams across the NSPCC have adapted to enable them to continue to meet the needs of new and expectant parents. But now over to Steve and Sarah. So could you tell us a bit more about what provision was like for parents before lockdown and what more needs to be done, particularly given the impact that COVID-19 will be having on families across the country?
Thanks, Helen. Yeah, we've already heard about why perinatal mental health is so important to both parents and babies, and particularly at this time. We launched Fight for a Fair Start to complement and build on the work that we do in our services, but also to achieve change on a wider level to benefit all families and babies. And through the campaign, we're aiming to ensure that perinatal mental health doesn't get overlooked, particularly at this time. So the campaign originally launched in July 2019, and the campaign is part of our partnership with Joe Malone London, who supports some of the services we've already heard about, but also the campaign through the sale of a charity candle. And the focus of our partnership with Joe Malone London is on supporting parental mental health. So obviously perinatal mental health is a key part of that. So the vision of the Fight for a Fair Start campaign is to ensure that all parents can get the right mental health support at the right time during the perinatal period to give their babies a fair start in life. And this is true no matter where they live in the UK. The campaign is actually quite a complex campaign because obviously when we talk about the NHS or local government in the UK, we're actually talking about 4 separate health systems and also different local government systems. But in order for people to support the campaign, it's actually quite a simple action. So a supporter would come through to a landing page, which then directs them to the country of the UK that they live in. And then we have a supporter action based on where that person lives. And it's really quick to do, so it only takes about 2 minutes. And so through gaining support from supporters for the campaign, we hope to put pressure on the relevant policymakers in that country to achieve our policy aims. And I'm actually going to pass on to Sarah now to talk a bit about what our policy aims in each nation of the UK are.
Thanks, Steve. So across the UK, the campaign seeks to address 4 key areas. So firstly, it's recognising parents who need help early on. So without the option to see the same health professional regularly, it can take months or even years to realise that anything's wrong. So we're demanding that more professionals are trained in spotting the signs and symptoms of all perinatal mental health problems to support the parents in need of help early. So in England, for example, the campaign is calling for all women and their families to receive 5 face-to-face visits undertaken by a consistent health visitor during the perinatal period. Secondly, supporting parents with perinatal mental health problems. So if left untreated, perinatal mental health problems can have devastating impacts on mums, dads or partners and babies. But whether they get the help they need depends on where they live. So we're demanding that every parent should have access to specialist perinatal mental health care and support. In Northern Ireland, for example, we're calling for all areas to be covered by high quality specialist community perinatal mental health services and a specialist mother and baby unit, so that where a woman lives doesn't determine her access to support. Thirdly, helping parents build crucial bond with new babies. So during the perinatal period, it's important that mums and dads and partners get to build bonds with their newborns. But it's hard enough to take care of yourself when you're struggling with mental health difficulties. It's crucial for both the parent and the child that services like mother-infant attachment are available to help when it's needed. So in Scotland, for example, we're calling for specialist support for mother-infant attachment and bonding to be available to all who need it across all tiers of service delivery. And finally, investing in a fair start for every family. So we're asking people for their support to help make sure the needs of new parents are met. We need governments across the UK to recognise the need for funding for perinatal mental health services. So in Wales, for example, we're calling for additional investment to ensure that all women and their families can access high quality specialist perinatal mental health services wherever they live. So in terms of next steps for the campaign, we are now, of course, in an unprecedented situation with COVID-19, and given the huge demands on the health service, we do not know what the perinatal mental health landscape across the UK is going to look like when this crisis is over. We're working to reshape the campaign to consider the impact that COVID-19 will have on pregnant women and new parents' mental health. At this time, we're really stressing that nobody should be left to cope with perinatal mental health problems on their own, and it is therefore more critical than ever that all mums and dads or partners receive consistent care during pregnancy and after birth to help spot signs and symptoms early and ensure support for any mental health concerns. Going forward, we'll be proactively but sensitively sustaining awareness of the campaign and really ensuring that governments prioritise perinatal mental health both now but in the aftermath of the lockdown to ensure that mums and their families across the UK can access that vital specialist support when it's needed. This week, NSPCC will be leading some Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week activity, which includes bringing together some professionals to better understand what is happening on the ground with these key services and to really think about what's needed to support new parents' mental health. I'm now going to hand back over to Steve for more details on how you can help support our campaign.
The campaign is particularly important at this time. We need to ensure that the needs of new and expectant parents are not forgotten about by policymakers at a time where there's lots of competing demands on the health service. So to support the campaign, first and foremost, please take the relevant campaign action in your nation. It's really quick and easy. If you just visit nspcc.org.uk/fair-start, you can support the campaign. Please do share the campaign amongst your networks and encourage people to support it. And also, if you have any ways that you can promote awareness of the campaign in your role, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we can discuss with you what ways that you could help raise awareness of the campaign and ensure that all parents and babies get a fair start in life.
Well, thank you to Sarah and Steve there, and thanks for all the contributors today, and thank you to you for listening. To support our Fight for a Fair Start campaign, as Steve said, it's nspcc.org.uk/fair-start. And if you're looking for more safeguarding information, training, resources, or to find out more about our direct services, you can visit our professionals website at nspcc.org.uk/learning. Thank you very much.